Welcome to seminar. It's really exciting to have all of you here. Well, I already put the announcements up there just so you can take a look. I'm gonna read through real quick, but just so you know what's going on. And for us to begin, we first have an opening prayer by Brady, and then we'll continue.
Dear Heavenly Father, we're very grateful for the time we have today to spend with fellow engineering students and learn more about our program. Please help us to be able to go forth and serve do all of the judges and citizens that just wants to.
All right, so let me go through this service and activities information we have here. So we already have a lot going on, so if you're looking for your activity points and all of that, we have a lot, and don't leave it to the end. Don't procrastinate. So the first thing, we have the stadium cleanup, September 22nd, after the game. We have this STEM after-school program. Last week was really fun. We had some of our ASE members going and teaching those kids about building bridges and stuff, so it was really exciting. It was a fun opportunity. So if you want to get involved with the community and apply engineering, that's the place to be. So it's a fun place to go. We have the STEM fair, Wednesday and Thursday, September 26th and 27th, all day. So you can sign up online. Handshake has also an area that you can sign up for it. And let me tell you, be ready for it. That's one of the biggest events we have, especially for major engineering, right? So make sure you are there prepared with your resumes, and just know that the companies that come here, they are here to hire people. They're not here to advertise their company. They're here because they're looking for someone, and you can be that person, but you need to be prepared for it. So don't leave it for the last minute. Research the companies and make sure you have a good resume. You practice. We've been sending emails about how to prepare for it. Look at those, and then you're going to be able to cause a really good impression. Even if you're not on your senior year, there are lots of companies looking for freshmen, for sophomores that can already get experience on the field. So don't miss that opportunity. Next one, so we don't have Concrete Canoe today. Steelbridge the meeting will be Tuesday and Wednesdays at 7 p.m. at 234 at the Clyde building. We have our networking dinner on Tuesday, September 25th at 5. So we have some companies coming for that networking dinner. So a lot of you already signed up for it, and I'm pretty sure we are out of spots for it. But I could be wrong on that. Is that right? Okay, yeah. So we're out of spots, but if you signed up for it, it's next Tuesday at 5. So that's another great opportunity to network there. We have already mentioned the STEM fair at the Wilk. We have the CUB lunch on Thursday, September 26th, and the ITE forum, the Kinley Horn info session, Thursday, September 26th, 5:30. And just a note, so our Facebook page is named BYU ASE. Apparently there is a BYU ASE 2018, but that's not our current page. So if you're on that one, make sure you're not, or that you go to the right one.
Can I just say one thing really quickly about the CUB luncheon? It's the same day as the career fair, but if we have enough people who want to go to the CUB luncheon, the department has always paid for a van to go over that luncheon and actually paid for the students who want to attend that luncheon. So we need to put a sign up on the webpage, which we'll do, and you can sign up for that and go if you'd like to go. But we won't do it unless we get enough people to sign up. This might be
Yeah.
wait. The CUB luncheon is just one person speaking. Actually, I think there's an ad, but I think it's 4 of us guys.
Okay, so next one, so here's another, I'm going to take a picture of it because I'm going to move that one fast. Sorry, maybe I should have put this earlier. But there's a couple of ideas. So when you're introducing yourself to the companies, these are the main things you want to focus on. Make sure you're not there asking what do they do, because They have a website that you can look and find those answers, and if you just start with that question, they're not going to even consider you for anything because clearly you didn't research about them. So the companies are looking for people that know what they do, and they want to make sure you know what you want. So just be sure you're ready for that. And update your resume. That's very important.
So for the networking dinner, for all of you that signed up, we have the documents closed right now, but for everyone who signed up, you need to be a member to attend that dinner. So if you're not a member or if your membership expired, make sure you go ahead and renew that membership. We're going to be finalizing the companies and we'll send out you out a list either Friday afternoon or Monday morning of who's coming. So, a local member is
All right. So this is another one. So ExxonMobil, they've been on campus yesterday and they're here today. So that's the time for their info session, and it's been really good. I went to the one yesterday. It was really packed. But they're taking resumes and they're looking for civil engineers. So if you think that is not an option for you, reconsider, because it's a really great company and they're looking for civil engineers. We also have all of these on Handshake. Last seminar we had someone from college talking about Handshake. If you're not on it yet, make sure you create an account and update it. It's like the LinkedIn, but for students. And there are lots of companies there. I already saw that Exxon has posted their positions on Handshake, and yesterday they encouraged us to apply through it. So make sure you know what that is and that you have a good profile there. All right, so we are very excited today to welcome Fred M. Nelson to us today, and he's an awesome guy. I asked him what is it that he wanted me to focus about him on his introduction, and he just asked me to mention that he's a BYU guy. So he's on the right place. So I'm just going to go through a couple of things. He asked me to talk about him, and you'll understand why I said he's awesome. So Fred has been president of the ASCE Phoenix branch and the Arizona section, and was the Arizona section newsletter editor and historian. He's currently a Region A governor and trustee of the ASCE Foundation. He was the founding chair of the Arizona Structural Engineers Emergency Response Committee and serves on the ASTM Committee E54 on Homeland Security Operations. He is a certified CALOES SAP California Structure Assessment Program instructor. He's married to Lorraine Mossel with 8 Brady Bunch children and 22 grandchildren, and spends much of his free time with his family and working with scouts and riding a bicycle. In August 2018, he was elected to the Tucson High School Hall of Fame, which includes such notable as judges, politicians, and astronaut fame. So he's here with one of his duties today is to present 2 awards to ASCE. So I'm going to let him talk a little bit more about it, and if we could just welcome him with some hands here. So.
This is quite a sight. I'm assigned to Alaska, and I was last week with the Fairbanks, University of Alaska Fairbanks and University of Alaska Anchorage, and there was just a handful of students in both groups. So to have this many students here is quite a scene, and you guys are the cream of the crop. It's really a great place. I was at the Rocky Mountain Conference, and the BYU students just looked outstanding. You guys and the Air Force people really terrific looking group. You represented us well. It was really, really good to see that. So, first award is the Distinguished Chapter Award in Region 8. There are 34 chapters in Region 8, and this is the top chapter in all of Region 8. We'll talk about what Region 8 is in just a bit. So, Alex, congratulations. Somebody taking pictures? Where? This is a tremendous accomplishment. So I understand we have a string going of several years, right? Taylor. So we got Taylor from Caseville. Taylor, BYU is last year a Ridgeway finalist. Congratulations. Way Award is given to the top student chapter in the country. And I understand that since 1973, BYU has been the top student chapter 9 times. And the first time was for my senior years at home. Not pretty. Yeah. So anyhow, congratulations. This is a wonderful thing, a great tradition. You have wonderful advisors that have stayed for decades. And I'll talk a little bit about that later. So we're getting another picture here. All right. Okay. So we're going to talk about two things today. I'm going to talk about ASCE's organization and history a little bit in general. And then we're going to talk about Region 8 and tie that into our student chapters. And then I used to be on the Scholarship Society, and one of the things that we did while I was there is we published this book, a loose light binder. It's loosely because it's living. We hope it can be used well. But it was published in 2007, and we're going to tell some stories about some of my favorite professors and some of yours, and we're going to invite participation. I am going to give away CDs of the book. So anybody who answers a question correctly, you'll get a CD. I realize this is old technology. So I made about 45 of them, so I got 45. I'll give them all away. You guys get them all. But those of you who want to get this in a different technology for your computers, you can get to your student chapter officers here. I'm sure they'll take care of you. So anyhow, we're going to talk about that book. If we have a little bit of time afterwards, we'll talk about some of my work. But I don't know if we're going to get there. So let's talk about ASCE. So Region 8, this is an old chart. We've got 9 states up there. And recently we acquired civil engineering members in Alberta and British Columbia and the territories of Yukon and Northwest in Canada. Only members, not sections and branches. We have some students in British Columbia that have been competing in some of our competitions. Okay, this is our mission of ASCE. It's to deliver value to our members and to promote civil engineering and to protect the health, welfare, and safety of the public, which we do every day. So the Golden Gate Bridge, to me, represents civil engineering as much as anything we've ever done. Okay, so I don't know how many of you know this, but the founder of ASCE was James Lowry. He was the first president. There were 12 people present in New York when they got together and organized our organization. It has now over 150, well, almost 150,000 people. They met for 5 years, till 1857, and then they stopped meeting. I don't know why. Then we had the Civil War, and they started meeting again after the Civil War. And James Lowry again assumed being president, and until 1867, and then 10 years later they realized they didn't have a constitution, so that's when they first got a formal document recognizing us. How many women do we have here? A lot? Okay, this slide, right here, if you're going to write anything down today, write this one down. Take your time. This is the first civil engineering graduate. Her name was Dora Stanton Blanche Barney Cornell in 1905. So when I went to school here, in the whole engineering department, School of Engineering, there was one woman. So look at how much we've grown. And now you're about 30 to 35%, something like that. That's terrific. My youngest daughter went to 30 years after me, and she's a BYU civil engineering student. So you guys got that? You want me to go to the next slide or stay there for that? Okay. So we can go home now. Now you know everything you need to know. Oh, go a little bit more. This is a stamp honoring civil ASCE. When I was a boy, I collected stamps. This is one of my stamps. So, organization-wise, I'm just going to go through this real quick. We have our board of direction and an executive committee. In Region 8, where I'm one of 7 region governors, we have an assembly, which is all our section presidents in addition to us. And then there are 11 other region governors, 9 of whom are geographical, and 2 are from our 10 institutes and specialties. Oh, I put Alaska. I meant to change that to BYU, but there you go. I did this in Alaska last week. So these are the 9 regions in the United States, and the 10th region is outside the United States. And now Mexico is part of Texas, and Canada, members in Canada are parts of 8, 3, and 1. So we've expanded our mission to the world. So some facts: 157,000 people, 84% in North America, 12% in Asia, and then 1% in Oceania, and 1% in South America, Africa, and Europe. I was surprised that our numbers were so small in Europe, but there they are. About 100,000 full-time members, distinguished members, 43,000 student members, and 6,000 affiliates. So you're part of 43,000 student members across the world. So we have more than 400 student chapters, over 300 in the United States, and growing rapidly in Asia, especially India and China, and Mexico. We have over 75 student chapters. So our budget, $64 million. About $50 million goes to our normal operations. $10 million goes to our institute, and $3 million goes to the foundation, which owns the building that we have. And since I'm a trustee of the foundation, I'm going to talk about it just a little bit. So we promote student activities. So I understand we got to go to San Diego for a concrete bridge competition, or concrete canoe. How do we do? Well, I'll let you know the foundation helped send you there. Okay. Same thing with Steel Bridge, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Leadership, education for our teachers. We have a program, a 1-week seminar that we have for our professors, and about 1,000 have gone to that. I think it's called Excel, and we pay for that. So we do a lot of things. It's the arm of ASE that does good. So I would like to encourage you as students to consider donating maybe as little as $5 to the foundation, and it kind of gives you a foothold into being a member of ASE and a foothold of doing this good. All right, enough said. Sorry about that. Okay, there we are, concrete canoes, having fun, and we were there, right? I almost went there, but I couldn't quite make it. Back to the foundation. So only about 4,000 people contribute to the foundation. I've done it for about 20 years, and I'm not sure why they asked me to be trustee, but they did. So I have to talk about it a little bit. So I'm done with that. So some more ASE facts. We get 5 free webinars. So one thing that's important for licensed engineers is to have continuing education. ASE gives you 5 free webinars every year. We've got publications, our magazines, our technical documents, insurance benefits. You guys aren't thinking about that, but I am, because I'm getting old. And through ASE, I supplement my Medicare insurance and life insurance. Okay. Collaborate. It's like a chat room for engineers that have problems. So you can go on to Collaborate. You have something to troubleshoot. You throw it in there, and you got 150,000 engineers across the world that might help you. Probably only about half a dozen, but there is an opportunity. Government relations, the report card, a big thing that's part of what we support with our foundation, our student activities. I want to talk about the bridge. So how many of you heard rumors about the Steel Bridge competition? Anybody has heard any rumors? Okay, let me tell you, I was with our national president 2 weeks ago. So as of 2 weeks ago, this is the status. So AISC, the American Institute of Steel Construction, decided that they only wanted to have Steel Bridge competition for American universities. They threw that at ASE. It was very, very unexpected. We had no idea that was coming, but ASE is a worldwide organization. And we have student chapters from Mexico and from China and from Canada competing in our competitions. So we parted ways with AISC. However, AISC Steel Bridge competition will still continue. You may still have your Steel Bridge team. You can still go forward as you did before, but you're just not going to be sponsored by ASCE. And in the Pacific Northwest Conference, they're planning to hold the Steel Bridge competition at the same time in the same venue. So maybe from a practical standpoint, things won't change that much. So keep going forward. I want you to know that ASC is looking at other opportunities to fill in the void. The timber people have a pilot program they had down at Pacific Southwest Conference in Tempe this year called Timber Strong. So they build a timber structure that takes gravity loads, lateral loads, cantilevered loads, and they had a very successful competition. At Rapid City, we had some water competition. Who was in the water group? Okay, so we had a water gun, so there might be a water thing there. In some places, they're looking at building model dog houses. And there's some discussion about doing bridges out of other materials than steel. So ASC is looking very diligently at filling the void, but as far as the Steel Bridge team is concerned, just keep going forward as if though nothing happened. Okay? Any questions about that? Okay, so that's the latest as of 2 weeks ago. And I haven't seen anything in writing later. So, salary surveys. Who thinks they're going to get paid to be an engineer? Okay? Do you have any idea what you should be paid when you get your first job? ASCE had a detailed salary survey by region, by type of engineering you get into, by whether you're working for government, small firm, or something else. I suggest that as you're doing this resume stuff, that you go to the salary survey and get an idea of how valuable you might be. Okay? So that's a benefit ASCE has. And then we have the Speakers Bureau, best practices, and talking points, other things ASCE. This is just a few of the things. There are lots of benefits in belonging to ASCE. I think the best benefit I have is my interaction with you guys, with other engineers, with students, and with civil engineers that I've known literally for decades. We see each other. There's just something special about our profession. I think it's the greatest profession in the world. So I want to encourage you to continue after you graduate in ASCE. Get involved in the younger members group. We have some great ones across the country. I know we have great ones here in Utah and Arizona. We have some terrific ones. Some places don't have them, so get involved in the branch programs, and you're going to be happier. It's going to make you feel better. It's going to promote your careers. It's just going to be good. Okay, so in our Region 8, just quickly, we have 12 sections. Right now, Washington has 4 of them, and then the others are in our other 8 states. So Arizona is now the Arizona section again. And they're all, this is one of the greatest regions around. This is such a beautiful country. Great people come from here. 34 schools have student chapters. It's just a great place. So in Utah, and I cannibalize this from another guy, but we've got 5 branches here. 5 branches. The Northern Utah branch at USU, the Wasatch branch in the University of Utah, and the Central and Southern Utah. I put them together. Well, you got 4 branches. I put them together because I didn't know how to get another little thing over there. So that's the best I could do. And Brigham Young University. So that's what we got in Utah. Okay, 4 branches, 3 universities. I think there may be another one.
Yeah, that might mention, you guys might be interested in this, that UVU is right now has an application in to become a student branch also in ASCE.
Great. That's great. A real opportunity for BYU to help teach them too. Because you guys are, this is the best of the best. I'm not just saying that because I went to BYU. Okay, so in our governance structure, we have 17 people on our, I missed one in there. Okay, there's 17 people on the board of direction. I have a little circle in the chart. And we have the president, past president, and the president-elect, so that's 3. Then we have our region directors from our 10 regions and our 2 institute regions, and then we have 2 at-large directors, so for a total of 17. The executive committee has the presidency, and then it's got the third-year directors, and this year Dale Nelson, no relation to me, from Alaska, he's been representing us on the executive committee, and that will end in October. Okay, so there's our board of direction. The one in the middle is Christine Swallow. Christine Swallow from Las Vegas. You can see that she's a woman, she's young, and she's very, very good at what she does. So, question number 1. It's a real hard one. Who is the current society president? Who knows? Anybody? There you go. Who's the gal on the right?
Vice President.
Who's the gal on the right? Okay, what might she have done before she got a picture up there? What? Last year, what was she? Who said that? Pass that up to the guy. There you go. She is Norma Jean Matte. She's our past ASC president from Louisiana, PhD. Okay? That wasn't hard. Okay, who's our current society president-elect? Who knows? Robin Kimber? Is that what you said? That's close enough. Here you go. Who's the guy on the right? Anybody know who he is? It's a 4-letter word. Who knows who that is on the right? Kyle? Pass that up. That's Kuna. He's from Utah. He's going to be our president-elect in October. He's wonderful. I had the opportunity, he was the Region 8 Engineer of the Year, obviously Ward's Chair. I had the opportunity of presenting that to Guna. And I said, yeah, Guna's done projects up to $1 billion. He comes up and says, Fred, I'm up to $2 billion. He's a great leader. He's from India. He has a PhD. He's an author. He's going to promote engineering abroad. He's wonderful. We got a terrific guy. He's from Utah, from Salt Lake City. So Guna's a great guy to know. And he's very personable. Okay, so anyhow, we've got our Region 8 governors. There's 8. I think there's only 7. Yeah, there's 8 on the board because we have our director. And then we got 7 governors, and 6 are elected, 1's appointed, and we have the historian treasurer, and you don't need to really know about that. So according to the 2018 official register, is the Utah section a large section or a small section? 1,000's a cutoff point. Who would know? Who said small? Who said large? Oh, you said, oh!
I think it's large.
Okay, there you go. It's a large set, over 1,000. All right. So how many governors serve on the Region 8 Board of Governors in a single year? How many? 7 governors. Who said that? Here you go. You guys in the front row are getting the good stuff here. Okay, so here they are. These are our current ones. So Greg Kinney from Alaska, Bob Lamoureux from Utah, our place here. BYU also, Swells guy. And then Brent Borchers from Arizona, another Swells guy. Larry Magura, water guy from Oregon. Florence Ching with the Corps of Engineers in Hawaii, myself, and Dale Hippensteel from Columbia. So, and then our historian treasurer is Tony Lau, and he's now been elected our district director, and we'll talk about him a little bit later. So can you name one of the 2 Region 8 newly elected governors? Anybody? I didn't think so. Okay, so Kate Thompson, the one on the right, is from the Columbia section. And the one on the left is Jessica Smith from Alaska. Okay? All right, so these are our assignments. So I've got Alaska, and Bob Lamo's got Hawaii and Oregon, but we've got these 12 sections, and so our assignment is to go visit and try to do good with them. So, which Region 8 governor is assigned to the Utah section for 2018? Anybody remember that? I'll go back real quickly. Dell. Who said Dell? Here you go. There's 2 of them. Pass it back to them. All right. Yeah, okay, so student conferences. This is what I want to talk about a little bit. So we have 4 student conferences in our region. So our student conferences aren't just our region. We're spread all over. So Pacific Northwest, Rocky Mountain are 3 Utah schools, and maybe our 4th one. Pacific Southwest, the Arizona schools, and Nevada, Las Vegas, and then the Mid-Pacific Conference, which just has one of our schools, University of Nevada, Reno. So we don't correspond to that, but we do send governors to these things because we want you to know we think it's important. Okay, so I got that one wrong. I was trying to change these slides and I didn't have much time. So which student conference does BYU go to? You guys know that one? All right. Here's 3 things. You guys can pass them around and be a little smarter. I blew that. I had this thing all done for Alaska, and I thought I got everything right, but I didn't. Okay, so these are what we do, awards, nominate a bunch of stuff, you don't care about that, so we'll go through there. So who's the current Utah section president? This is a good one. I want to get a correct answer on this one. I'm not giving this one away. I rode my bike with him this morning. I'm here up for who moved her to the Salton St. bicycle ride? So I'm doing it with my buddy Gary right here. Gary's, he's almost world class in our age group. He's terrific. Okay, so he's one of the best in Arizona. So we're doing Salton St. So anyhow, who knows who this is? Your current president. Anybody know who that is? It's Craig Fryant. Wonderful guy. He's a Utah State guy, but he's wonderful. So, anybody want to tell me now who your president is? Utah, come on. Who said that? You know, I would be a real easy teacher, wouldn't I? Okay, don't forget that, okay? All right. So for 2008, we elected 2 governors, 1 director, and Tony Lau is our new director. Okay, so let's talk about our current director. So Dale Nelson, he's a little bit older than me, he still plays softball, he's from Alaska, good guy. Tony Lau, our director-elect. Yeah, well look at him. He plays the violin, he bowled a 300 game, and he pitched a no-hit game in slow pitch softball. I asked him, how'd you do that? He said it was a windy day. Anyhow, if he comes here, and you guys, he'll bring macadamia nuts, so you won't be getting this kind of stuff. You'll be getting real good stuff. So then Larry McGurra, he's a wonderful guy from Washington, Oregon actually. He's in the water world, and he's just a straight guy. Brent Borchers, he's known as our loud one because he speaks loud. From Arizona, Terracon guy, Souls guy, Iowa State guy. He won't root for the University of Arizona or Arizona State. He's Iowa State all the way. And he's assigned to Hawaii because, I don't know how he got that one, but there he is, Monument Valley. He's completed 2 marathons. He said he didn't run them, he said he completed them. There I am in my FEMA uniform. So, the hurricanes, right now, Hurricane Florence in the Carolinas, my team is there. I was asked twice to go there by the national leadership, but I couldn't because I was in Alaska, but that's part of what I do. And there I am on a bike. One of my favorite places to be. So Florence Ching, she's our other director, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and she describes herself as an Army brat. And Dale Hippensteel, the new one. And then Jessica Smith coming in from Alaska, and she's going to be assigned to Utah next year, so she'll be coming out here, right? See you guys. And then Kate Thompson, she's got some other assignments. So we've already got assignments for, we get to be governors, and we even before we're formally governors, they give us assignments and we go to work. So Seth Olson, didn't have a picture of him. Greg Kinney, outgoing governor, one of the greatest people you'll ever know. He's a project engineer for Alaska Pipeline. That's the Alaska Pipeline. It goes from Valdez to Stewart to Valdez, anyhow. Okay, there he is. And he's climbed Aconcagua. Who knows how high Aconcagua is in round numbers? Anybody? I'll give you a clue. It's the highest peak in all of the Americas. Higher than McKinley.
22,000 feet.
Not high enough. Not too high. What? 23, not high enough.
24,000 feet.
There we go. 24,000 feet. He said it took him 10 days to do it. And he was out hiking, and he pulled his hamstring off of his bone, and now he's on crutches. Poor guy. Anybody know who this is? Oh goodness, we got a couple of ones on that. So I'm going to give a CD on in each area. Somebody who knows who Bob Lamoureux is here. He's been here, I take it. Okay. Somebody over here who knows who Bob is. Shane, there you go. Okay, there's Bob. He's just sitting when the sun's on a mission. Okay, so we already got that one. So anyhow, done with that. So let's go to the next presentation. Any questions about Region 8 or about ASCE that I've gone through this? Did we give you something you didn't know about? Okay. So as part of part of what you're getting into. So maybe you'll get a job in New York City and you'll be in a different region. But do you belong to ASC or do you don't? My helper. Yeah, let's go to the next one. How many of you have ever seen this? You have. Good. Pass one up. Pass it back. Okay. I was co-editor of this book when I was on the Scholarship Society. And I felt it was really, really important to preserve our history. And particularly because all of the professors that I knew back in the mid-60s, well, I started in 65 and ended in 71, because they were either alive or their family were alive. Somebody knew something about them. So we decided to do this project, and we started out by, the secretaries had some one-page biographies about everybody, and so I called up one of my mission buddies, Alan Inke from Mexico, and I said, I want you to write something about your dad. So Alan comes and writes a 5-page story full of great things about his dad. He talked about how his dad had designed a tramway up on the West Mountain, and he took the kids to ride the tramway. He talked about how he was testifying in front of a very famous and austere judge, Judge John Ritter. And the other attorney was trying to keep his testimony out. And finally he looked at the judge and he said, do you want to know what really happened? And the judge said, yes, tell me. And Alan's an attorney, so he could appreciate that. But there were some great stories. So then we reached out and we got some wonderful stories from people. How many of you know Christina Eisen? Who's taking a bridge class? Is she still teaching here?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well, her grandfather, Alan Firmage, he wrote 10 pages about his career. And it was wonderful. He designed bridges all over the world. He was instrumental in bringing our first Asian students here. So I'm going to talk about, and then the other thing, there's a history about the civil engineering department. Started in 1952. Actually, the School of Engineering started in 1952 by Alan Inke's father, Glenn Inke. We'll talk about him. And in 1957, we had our first civil engineering graduates. And then there's the story of the student chapter. At that time, we had earned 5 Bridgeway Awards. In 2007, we've earned 4 since then. It's remarkable. That's remarkable. Most student chapter, you guys don't realize how lucky you are. Most student chapter advisors stay for 2 or 3 years, and then they're out, they do something else. But Don Budge was here for over 30 years. He was my student advisor, my youngest daughter's student advisor. And we got Brother Borup here, Brent Borup, who's been here for now going on his 20th year. It's a tremendous place. This is dedication you don't see anywhere in the world. Okay. I'm going to tell some stories. And there's some people here I don't know about. So if you tell me something good about one of these professors, you'll get one of these slides. Alan Inke, father of Glenn Inke, founded this group. I had 4 classes from him. I think he only had a bachelor's degree from the University of California, but he had a remarkable career in engineering. He had a good practical knowledge of what engineering is. And it was just wonderful to know him. When I was on my mission, he knew I was on the track team at BYU. So we had the national championship that year. And at BYU. I've still got some time. 10 minutes or so? Okay, we'll get through this. And he went to the track, he wrote down all the times of all the finishers, and he sent it to his son Alan to get to me, because I was 1 city over. Anybody know this guy? Who knows who this is? Okay. I heard Nigel right there. Ralph Rawlins. One up here, somebody up there. To the bar. I heard your voice. So he was my SOS teacher here. He was remarkably tough, but fair. And what was really neat about his work is that he was a practicing civil engineer, and he would tell us about his projects and what was going good and what was going bad. And he'd bring in these little pieces of soil, and we'd have to roll them up about 1 inch in diameter, and identify these different properties. But anyhow, he was just terrific. In my senior year, I took a lot of classes. I I was wiped out. I didn't think I was going to get through. So I didn't study for the class. Just the bad soils. And I'm going in there thinking, I'm going to bomb out on this. I'm just not going to do it. He comes in, he says, I've got to go to Washington, D.C. I catch a plane in 2 hours. He says, I can either stay here and grade your papers or I can go to Washington, D.C. What do you want? We sent him off and I got an A in the class. I would have got a C plus at best. Anyhow, who knows who this is?
Cliff Barton.
I don't know who it is. Somebody yelled back there. And then I see 2 hands up there, Kay Budge and her son. Give these folks for me. Thank you for coming.
Say it with the Lord.
Cliff. He went to Rensselaer, got his PhD back east. A lot of our professors started here. The early ones started here with a master's degree, and they went back to school, some other school, and got the PhD and came back and were wonderful. And he was very personable. He seemed like he was very austere, but he was really very personable. And he did some, I remember a couple of classes I took, he did some research on these tanks that they would move their turrets this way and they would fill. And what they had done is they had tubes that weren't welded. So he said, let's weld the tubes and we'll be done. And he was known for golf. I had a classroom from a book called Seeley and Smith. Anybody still use Seeley and Smith? Probably not. And there was a problem that seemed to have the wrong answer. And I went in there and I said, I think they got the wrong answer on this problem again. He said, Fred, that's Seeley and Smith. That could be wrong. So he went and looked at it and he says, well, you're right. They made a mistake. Anybody know this guy? Hank Christensen? Who knows? Is he still here? He was our mechanics guy. Yeah, I mean, he taught finite elements and stiffness and flexibility methods, BYU movie. Just, I had 4 classes from my last one. I bombed the final, but everybody else did, so I still got a B. Okay, my favorite. If there can be a favorite, Don Budge. Over 30 years, he's a student chapter advisor. Who's the secretary for our student chapter? Who's the secretary? Not here? Okay. So I was a secretary. And I had to write this paper, this report at the end of the year. So I thought I did a really good job, and I turned it into Don, and he looks at it and he says, we need to work this a little bit. There's a big BYU game going on. I was married at the time. So we worked until about 9 o'clock until he was happy with it. And we turned it in to the dean. I took it up to the dean, and the dean looked at it, Dean Hill. And I thought he was going to kill us. And he said, this is really great. Can you get us more copies to send to the board of regents? I was so happy. But we went to the game. We got there after halftime. Kate, you might remember that. But Don was happy. The thing I remember most about him, and who knows Don? Who knows him? Who's met him? Anybody? Kyle, you know him. Brett, you know him. Who else in this room? His calming voice. His calming voice. I can still hear it. I woke up this morning. I could hear his voice. Wait a second. We did that wrong. That's Alan Burbage. I got that wrong. He's the bridge guy. Designed thousands of bridges. His granddaughter, I see. Here she's in. Okay. This is Cliff Barton. Okay. James Barton. James was a water guy. He was quite an athlete too. He was on 2 state championship teams in New Mexico and scored the winning touchdown in his senior year. And he was mission president in Uruguay. And he was his classes were the most spiritual classes I had at BYU. He had a saying. He said, good Lord put 75% of the surface on this earth is water and 25% is soil. He says that means we need to spend 75% of our time fishing. And he inspired us to be good. He just inspired us to be good. He had some projects, he involved us. One time he was doing a fish population count on a water project up on the Weaver River. He said, Fred, I want you to go on that and help him count fish. He said, by the way, there's this guy from California that I know. He said, I think you can set a good example for him. Would you do that? He just had the way of inspiring us to do good. Alana Durant is my advisor for my master's project. A structures guy, taught with great clarity. He was a member of the Utah State Legislature. He went to Hawaii. He was the assistant president of Hawaii. And just a wonderful, wonderful guy. And if you ever have a chance to have his wife's homemade peach ice cream, you'll never eat any other ice cream the whole rest of your life. It's absolutely terrific. Okay, Arnold Wilson and his wife. How many of you have been to the Marriott Center? Do you know who designed the Marriott Center? There you go. Do you know who's designed over 1,400 concrete dome structures? Arnold Wilson. Okay. Is he still alive? Okay. Cecil Jacobson. He was the chief engineer for the Bureau of Reclamation, the Upper Colorado part of the Bureau of Reclamation. He only had a bachelor's degree, came and taught my senior year. And then we had a field trip down to Glen Canyon Dam. I'm in the bowels of the dam with Glenn. And he's talking about all this stuff, and I asked him these stupid questions. What did you do on this project? You seem to know a lot about it. He looked at me and says, Fred, I was in charge of the whole damn project. Okay, who we got there? Nobody knows? Kyle? Pete Furman, water guy. Great guy. He went to India one time, and he came back and he talked about people living in concrete pipes with great emotion, and he just had a great sensitivity. Reese Goodman, right? Reese was a structures guy. Okay. Ken Carrot. Ken Carrot, he was a lot younger when I knew him. He went to Cornell, got his doctorate there. Worked for Venus Concrete. I had a couple of classes from him, a very articulate guy, very dedicated. His son designed the glass walkway over the Colorado River. We walk out and you look down and you see there. His son did that, and he spoke in Arizona, and he talked about having about 5 times the safety factor in the counterport so it wouldn't fall down. But he got that from his dad. Merritt, another water and sewers guy. Who we got here? Glenn Thurgood. Yeah, he went away, got his master's, got his doctorate in another school, came back. Who's that? Then tell us about Glenn Lewis.
He worked for the U.S. Public Health Service and for full career, retired there, and just came here, worked in the water environment.
What a great background.
Mission president 2 or 3 times, within the presidency of the NPC.
Oh, that's great. They're great stories. Jeff Armstrong's grandfather. This guy was in charge of the Bureau of Roads before it became the National Highway System. And they were talking about an alignment in Massachusetts. And the politicians wanted to move it 1 mile north because they had some development they wanted to do, and he was fighting them. Finally, he said, you know, I think I know what's wrong. The whole highway system is 1 mile too far to the south. Anyhow, Kennedy was on one of the senators at that time, and Kennedy became president a couple of years later, and he kicked him off. But he had great integrity. Jeff Armstrong, who's one of my co-speakers here at times, has talked about his grandfather, and that's who he was. Forgot who that is. Just a great guy. Who we got here? Somebody tell me something good about him.
He had a good book for structural analysis.
That's not enough.
Okay.
Do better than that.
He loved China.
How much did he love China? What did he do for China?
I don't know, but he made...
Who knows what he did for China? Who did he take for China?
Lots of students.
Wasn't that something he did for China? Weren't you guys good examples when you went there? Oh, then you don't get one of these. Who knows about Brother Down? Okay. And what happened to his wife? He cared for his wife for many years when she was gravely ill, which is an attribute that Michael did. Okay. We're going to finish it.
1 second!
Oh my God.
Dr. Joe.
Okay. So can I make a closing statement? You got time for that? Thank you for coming. My wife says sometimes I talk too much, but I don't think I did that. I hope you got a feeling for where you are and for the value of these professors that have been here and continue to be here, continue to work and love you so much. And love me. That's why I come back. Now, I have 4 things I want to tell you real quickly. Number 1, you represent more than yourself, no matter where you go, so be on your best behavior. Okay? You represent BYU, you represent your family, you represent the high school you came from. You represent a whole lot more than that. Number 2, there's something special you're going to do in your life. Every single person in this room is going to do something special in your life. Kyle Rollins is a great liquefaction guy. All over the world he's done studies to find out about liquefaction. So I do FEMA work. That's where I live. I've been at several FEMA deployments. Something you're good at. Find out what it is, become very good at it, become the very best you can at it. And don't be jealous if somebody else does something different. Be grateful for their differences. Third thing, and this is probably the only place I can tell you that, is if you do the first 2 things well, then the Holy Ghost is your companion. What I tell other people is you have a special aura about you. The Holy Ghost is your companion. I went to Oklahoma City before any of you were born when they bombed that building, and I can tell you that, and I'm not going to go into details about it, the Holy Ghost was my companion. I had several firefighters, probably a dozen afterwards, tell me when I was with you, Fred, I felt safe. Because on that particular event, I was at the Holy Ghost. 4th thing is, this whole thing you're going through, it's a process, not an event. Don't get discouraged by your setbacks. Failure is really not failure, it's just things that you learn that don't work. And then finally, from one of my friends as a mission president, be bold, be relentless, and be urgent in what you do in your life. Thank you.